This COVID-19 pandemic period has often showcased the brightest and best in our profession, who have worked tirelessly to provide advice and guidance for us all during this time of maximum uncertainty. The issue has been the volume of advice, the conflicting messaging, and the struggle to understand which piece of guidance we will be held accountable to. Most of our constituents voiced uncertainty on how they should be providing care and have attempted to piece the information together to produce their individual SOPs with fingers firmly crossed. This is clearly not ideal. A crisis committee of agreed stakeholders would provide an opportunity to streamline this plethora of information and produce a rapid and clear line of communication for the coalface and the ivory towers as to how dentistry will operate when its viability is most threatened. Setting this up will clearly be a mammoth task and many egos will be bruised, but I urge conference to support this motion. This conference calls for the formulation of a dental crisis committee, consisting of senior stakeholders from the full spectrum of dental care. This committee would provide clear and concise guidance, swift communication, and crucially have the appropriate powers to successfully and effectively steer the whole profession through any future threat to continued service provision.
Okay, right, thanks for that, Jimmy. And I think that Bill Powell from Liverpool LDC wanted to speak to this motion as well. Bill, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I think this is working now. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
We can hear you.
Bill Powell, should we get Bill up?
Yeah, so Bill Powell from Liverpool LDC chair. We submitted a similar motion, so we absolutely support Jimmy's motion there. Very well presented. Obviously, it's been a time of chaos and conflicting advice from all over the place. So we definitely would like some kind of central committee, perhaps with the BDA, who could sift through some of the guidance and really just come up with something simple so that we know what we can actually do, what we definitely can't do, and then also that grey area that if we put in certain procedures that we could have carried on, perhaps seeing urgent patients during the crisis.
Okay, thank you for that. And we have Duncan from Northumberland as well. So Duncan, would you like to speak for or against this motion? Could you...
Against this motion, actually. Basically, I think we've already got it. I found personally during the COVID outbreak, the BDA were producing excellent guidance on a probably hourly and certainly daily basis. So I think the expertise is already there within the BDA, and that was a forum that brought together the guidance from the plethora of different sources that was being produced. So I just don't think this is necessary.
Okay, well, there's an alternative view there. So do we have anybody else that wants to speak? I'll give it a sec in case you're having problems raising your hand through the function, and I'll get a message from my team if anyone puts it in the chat there. Don't appear to be getting anything. So in that case, oh, no, we do. We have Simon from Notts. Simon.
I support it because if you aren't a BDA member, where are you going to get the information from? Right, yeah, well, that was short and sweet. Very good, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, we do. We have Mick Armstrong. Over to you, Mick.
Two options there, Simon. Well, it's free on the website, most of it, and you can always join. So it's quite easy, isn't it, really?
Okay, right. Straight to the point there from Mick Armstrong. Do we have any other comments? No. Well, shall we go to the poll on this one? Let's have a vote. And here we go. It's all UK. So all UK can vote for this. On motion 14. Don't forget to press submit. We'll give you a little bit longer for this one, folks.
Getting quicker though, Leah.
Are they? Okay. Oh, we're learning, we're learning. It's all new.
I think this is going to be a close one though.
Okay. Could you leave it up for a bit longer for me, Binal, so that I can
Yeah.
read out the...
No problem. We're nearly there. Just bear with me.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, wow. So this has been narrowly defeated. There were 43% for, 45% against, and 13% abstained. So that has been defeated.
Hello Conference, I'm Claudia Peace and I'm the Treasurer of Hampshire and Isle of Wight LDC. It's been a cause of great frustration and anxiety for our English colleagues that the guidance to the dental profession from the Office of the Chief Dental Officer during COVID-19 has been tardy and lagged that of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Octo explained that the primary reason for this was that all their publications have to go through the government gateway process, and it was that which created the delay compared to the other nations. The role of the CDO in England differs slightly to that of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland due to the introduction of the 2012 Health and Social Care Act, when the Department of Health agreed it would be sensible for NHS England to host the leading clinical positions, including that of the CDO, rather than the Department of Health itself. The CDO's role is to support NHS England in its delivery of objectives and commissioning. It's to provide clinical expertise and leadership to the profession, and it's also to provide evidence-based advice to government. Good government, however, requires effective lines of communication and clear, unobstructed channels for advisory processes. With Gateway, the opposite appeared to be true, and the process served to impede the channels rather than facilitate them. Consequently, the profession was left confused and unable to support patients effectively at the beginning of lockdown. So I urge Conference to support the motion that Gateway needs to be revised to ensure this never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now, I know that Birmingham LDC put in a very similar motion from Eddie Crouch there, and Eddie has recorded a response to this. Do you want to speak live? If you do, Eddie, you can raise your hand or we'll play your motion. So I'll give you a sec, or I'll play your recording, sorry. So give us a signal if you want to speak live. Not getting anything there. Okay, well, let's hear what Eddie has to say from his pre-recorded section on this, please.
Colleagues, I think we'll all agree that the communication from NHS England throughout the pandemic has been poor. They blame the structure of NHS England, with documents that are drafted by the Chief Dental Officer taking 9 days to get delivered to the profession. There is surely something wrong with the structure that produces that inefficiency. I ask Conference to support a call for an inquiry into the structures of NHS England that have made communication a massive problem during the last 3 to 4 months. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for sending that in, Eddie. We do have other people wanting to speak to this motion now. And we have, I think it's Philip, Philip from Leicestershire. Are you speaking for or against the motion? Oh, maybe you have to put on your camera.
Sorry, Leo, I'm just getting the mute off.
Okay.
Yes, I'm speaking for the motion.
Oh.
I think this has been a massive issue, not just at national level, but at local level as well. As you'll be well aware, most of you will be well aware, Leicestershire is still in lockdown locally. In the run-up to lockdown, it was a very, very difficult process to try to get any information from NHS England. We were all aware that things were going wrong in the profession. Practices were contacting the LDC on a regular basis. Can you update us on what to do? We couldn't, because we couldn't get any information from NHS England. We asked for meetings, we didn't get them. We asked for guidance, we didn't get them. We were told subsequently, oh, well, nothing had changed. Well, possibly it hadn't changed, but we all knew it was changing. So why didn't we get that information? We now have the same thing about what happens during lockdown. I've been asking now for the last 3 weeks, how does the CDO's preparedness letter apply to less practices that are still in lockdown? Do we have to hit the activity chart targets during our lockdown period? Because we should be hitting them, but we're still locked in, so we can't see the patients. Does abatement apply to practices which are locked down at the moment if they're still seeing patients? We cannot get a clear answer on these issues. And that's apparently, it's a local area team that make these decisions. So why aren't they making them and telling the practices what the answers are? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Philip. Now I see that Eddie has his hand raised. Eddie, have you something to add to this? And incidentally, before you speak, is there a problem with a delay in your hand showing to me when you raise it, or not? Eddie, is your camera and mic on?
Yeah. Thank you. No, I didn't have a problem putting my hand up there. Thank you. And
okay.
Thank you for listening to the motion. I mean, one of the issues that we've had, and it must be more than just the gateway, many of our local area teams, when we've been meeting on a regular basis, get the information from us rather than centrally from NHS England. And that can't be right. It can't be right that the communication, even not only to the profession, but to their own workforce, trying to deal with things on a local basis is so bad. Something is wrong within the structure. And I see Mick's put in the chat that obviously someone at the top of the structure is responsible for NHS England. We need an inquiry. Thank you.
Okay, right, thanks. Do we have anybody else that wants to make a response to this motion? Doesn't look like it. I'll just give it a bit longer and I'll, nope, don't think so. So should we take that one to the vote?
There you go.
So here we go. People taking a while to make up their minds on this one then.
Yeah, just there you go. There you go, Leah.
Oh, wow. Yes. So there's that has been carried very decisively with a 96% for. We had 1% against and 4% abstained there. So that was motion 15.
It is quite clear that the last 4 months have seen the dental profession affected by the singular most profound event in all of our careers. The speed of change of the situation has been at times difficult to manage for members of this conference, who at least have an inside track. For the rest of the dental profession, however, the waiting for information, direction and most importantly leadership to appear from above has been stressful to say the least. At a time when swift and incisive communication should be key, the dissemination of information from the office has been sadly lacking. At a time when the path through the minefield of COVID has been needed, the support from the office has been sadly lacking. At a time when the profession needed leadership more than ever before in its history, this appears to have been largely absent. It is not likely to have been the intent of the office. It would be disingenuous of me to suggest otherwise. However, by placing it within the larger structure of the NHS has meant that the speed of communication, direction and support has been little more than appalling. Conference will no doubt be aware of the prompt to prepare letter delivered in the morning of the 28th of May, arriving with a date of the 19th of May. This was hardly prompt by any definition of the word. Previous letters of readiness were also delayed by an unacceptable amount when compared to our colleagues in the devolved nations. Given the announcement later that evening by BBC ticker tape of all things, that indeed the profession would open on the 8th of June, accompanied by a further communication from the office actually dated that day, just served to show how much the hierarchical nature of the NHS and the office's position within this Leviathan has resulted in delaying the prompt dissemination of information. This is an unacceptable situation for a caring profession to find itself in, and can only be because of the need to have multiple levels of approval for any official information is a consequence of the position the OCDO holds within the NHS. Additionally, and of far more relevance to those of us that rely on private dental care to support and subsidise the provision of the NHS, placing the office entirely within the NHS establishment has meant that there's been a huge lacuna of support, communication and most importantly leadership over the last 4 months. This shows there is a huge need for an all-embracing approach to all communication. It is clear that NHS dentistry cannot exist without the support of the private sector, and an acknowledgement of this is long overdue. Our esteemed colleague, Professor Nairn Wilson, raised this in 2015 in a letter to the BDJ. He hoped, and I quote, that the new CDO for England will find ways to address whatever difficulties may arise through having a relatively narrow role and less wide-ranging responsibilities than the other three. Where the profession presently stands, it must be concluded that, despite possible advantages of the new arrangements stemming from the most recent NHS reforms, it may be left worse off in terms of the high-level advice to ministers and government. I suggest we should add to that latter sentence, and to the entire dental profession. I would therefore request that conference support the above motion. Thank you.
Okay, so that is Simon Thackeray. Does anybody want to respond to this motion? I'll give it a little minute just to see if anybody wants to raise their hands. It doesn't appear to be anybody, so this is, we'll go to a vote here, and this is an England-only vote, please. Shall we put up the poll so you can cast your ballot?
Sorry, did you say it was England only?
Oh, did I? Yeah, it's the... Yeah, the wording of the motion is that the office of the Chief Dental Officer be distanced from the NHSE hierarchy, so it relates to England. This relates to England.
Okay, so if you, the Wales is on there, that's obviously.
Okay, so could I just ask England representatives to vote for this, please? Okay, it looks like we've got a result. Oh, right, okay, so that has been carried by 80% with 5% against and 15% abstained. So that's the that was that vote. That was motion 16.